Hey guys, my name is Gus. I'm a cave diver and I'm a scuba instructor, and I like to react to videos just like the one we're going to be reacting to today. This was a special request by one of our subscribers. They watched the review that I did for a video from another YouTube user about Hospital Hole, and on that video, the user Joe Oceanside called the sinkhole in Florida a cave multiple times, and I wanted to kind of come on board and talk about why that sinkhole wasn't a cave. Another user who has a lot more subscribers is actually a pretty big channel, over 300 million views total for all his videos, is Jigging with Jordan. And this user, I think his name is Brendan Jordan or something like that. He is one of the YouTubers that uses the word cave the most for stuff that is not cave related whatsoever. Like if you look at his channel right now, I made a search for the word cave on his channel, and you can see that he has a bunch of videos exploring at 130 feet deep cave, with an underwater drone, exploring dangerous spitting caves, endless caves, and so on. I mean, look at this. It's like dozens and dozens and dozens of videos about caves that he's exploring. And these are not really caves. Obviously, this guy has no cave training whatsoever. And it is clear that he is constantly pushing for the clicks, right? It's clickbait. You click on it because it sounds interesting, it sounds dangerous. But in a lot of cases, the problem is that because he has such a big following, 2.72 million subscribers in this case, the problem is that when you tell people that you can just jump in a dangerous cave without any gear, right, that makes it look like you're going to dive in a cave, you're going to have two reactions. Number one, people are going to say, that looks super dangerous, I'm never going to do that. Which again, if you're a diver and you want to kind of promote the sport or the activity of diving, the hobby of diving, however you want to call it, the last thing I want is for people to think that it's more dangerous than what it is, right? It's like posting a video that says, diving with sharks, almost got killed. The reality is sharks don't target divers almost never. Like there's I think three deaths of divers on the last 4 years. So not even one a year. And they were because they were spear fishing in illegal zones and stuff like that. Anyway, the point is, when you post a video like that, you will make people believe that diving is way more dangerous than what it is. What these guys are doing is definitely not cave diving. 100% is not. And again, it's all exaggerated to get clicks. The other effect that you're going to have is that people will say, well, if Jordan, who has, and again, maybe his name is Brendan, if this guy has minimal training, minimal gear, and he is willing to jump in this super dangerous cave, then maybe I should. Maybe I should jump in the cave. So someone again watched his latest video. It was posted 3 days ago from the time I'm recording this video. And obviously he is calling it out on the title, exploring a 130-foot deep cave with an underwater drone. What's at the bottom? Like it's a mystery. The video is over 20 minutes long. Obviously, there's a lot of fluff in the video. What I did is I downloaded it. I cut off all the other parts that don't really add to the review that I'm going to do. If you want to go, I'm gonna put a link so you can watch the whole video if you want to really go through the whole 20 minutes of him like driving his boat, saying how dangerous it is to get to the site, all that stuff. I cut all that stuff out. I just focus on the diving, and I want to give you my reaction as an instructor and as a cave diver on what I saw and what I think about this, specifically this site, Hospital Hole, which is, again, we talked about it before, nothing special about this site. Literally, there's just a hole in the ground that goes down to 130 feet. Depending on, the tide, you could be even further, 140, even 150 has been documented in the past. So it is pretty deep for recreational diving, but it's not some crazy deep hole that it's surrounded by mystery the way he makes it sound on the video. Anyway, if you don't believe me, let's check out the video if you haven't seen it, and let me tell you what I think about this. All right.
What's up, guys? It's Brandon J. Today we're going to be sending this underwater drone.
He said Brandon J, so I assume Brandon Jordan.
Over 130 feet down in an underwater cave called Hospital Hole.
Okay, so once again, it's not a cave whatsoever. It's a sinkhole. Now, one of the things that I didn't talk about on the first video of Hospital Hole that I reacted to is that in some cases, some of these holes could be called a cave. And it could be called a cave because of the loose description that some people use to say they went on a cave dive, okay? A cave dive is not just an overhead environment because, for example, if you go and penetrate a wreck, which you should definitely not do if you don't have the right training, but if you penetrate a wreck, I would say that I was wreck diving. I would say that I was penetrating a wreck even though I was in an overhead environment, meaning I cannot go up because I was in the engine room of the wreck or whatever it is. So I wouldn't call that a cave dive. But some of these holes, like Hospital Hole, like Hudson Grotto, like Beaufort Spring, for example, depending on where you are in the hole, you could argue that you were on a cave. For example, at the bottom of Beaufort Spring, which is in Florida, it's another sinkhole. It's an actual spring. It's very, very clear. Love that place. It's pretty deep. If you want to get to the actual bottom of it, first of all, there's a statue of an eagle or falcon, I don't remember, some kind of bird of prey, all the way to the bottom of Beaufort. And if you can make it to the statue, congratulations, you went over recreational depth limits. I think the statue is sitting right around 140 something or 150 feet, something like that. But the deepest I've been able to get at Beaufort is 165 feet. That is the deepest. And I think the advertised depth is 167, I believe. I was diving mixed gas. I was diving tri-mix with a 50-50 mix of oxygen. So I was prepared for a deep dive. I definitely do not recommend anyone do this with just air or nitrox. So if you're not prepared to go deep, don't do it. I was going for depth. And again, once you make it to the deepest point, which is really, they call it a cave, but I mean, you have to be the gnarliest diver to get into this hole deeper than 165, because I went in and the only thing that was sticking out was my fins. I was underneath the overhead. I had my chest against the ground and I was kind of like sticking my hand as deep as possible into the cave, and that was a legit cave. And I got 165. And when I came up, I turned around and it was pitch black, no visibility, overhead environment. That I could count as a cave dive because you don't have any light. So at Hospital Hole, if you go all the way to the bottom and all the way to the side, kind of like where the wall meets the bottom, if you can dive there on that depth at 140 or whatever it is, and you say you went on a cave dive, you could make the case that that was a cave dive. But just floating at the surface on a sinkhole does not make it a cave dive. You're not cave diving. You're not diving in a cave. It's just a sinkhole. All right. So every time this guy says, I'm in a underwater cave or whatever, it's BS. It doesn't make sense. This place, Hospital Hole, is a great sinkhole, not a cave.
Tens of thousands of people come to this spring every single weekend.
Tens of thousands of people come to this place every weekend. This place, if you do some research, is surrounded by private land. The only way you can get to it is by your own boat or paddle boat or kayak or whatever it is. So there's no way to get through it from the land unless you have permission of the people that own the land to get there. So I highly doubt that tens of thousands of people come here in a weekend. Plus, how are they going to fit? So if they all come in boats or kayaks or whatever, like picture 10,000 kayaks. And he's talking about tens of thousands, but 10,000 kayaks on top of this hole. I don't see it, but okay. A bunch of people come here every weekend. I don't know, but a bunch of people come here every year. Let's just say.
And if you drop something in Hospital Hole, it's 130 feet deep. There's no way you're ever going to be getting it back. It's called Hospital Hole because a bunch of scuba divers actually don't make it out. So it's a pretty dangerous spot, which is why we're going to be sending this.
Okay. Um, what a load of nonsense. All right, what he said is it's called hospital hole because a bunch of divers don't make it out. Literally, that's what he said. That is just straight up, made up lies to once again make it sound like it's more dangerous than what it is. This is a sinkhole, and as far as I can tell, based on the research that I've made, only one death has been recorded at this place in 1991, and it was from a non-certified diver. That somebody took him to the sinkhole. For some reason, this instructor or this person, I don't even know if this guy was an instructor or not, I think he was, took this person that doesn't know how to dive and put him on a sinkhole that is 40 meters deep or 130 feet or plus, deeper than that, and try to teach him how to dive. The kid or the person didn't know how to use his equipment or whatever, started sinking. This instructor tried to rescue him, couldn't do it. He drowned. This guy drowned. The instructor got sued. The family did not win. The lawsuit. There's a lot of it that you can read online, but basically only one death has been recorded at this place from an uncertified diver who went there for some reason without doing any research, apparently, and just jumped into a super deep hole to learn how to dive. That's like if you don't know how to swim and you say, look, I want to learn how to swim. And somebody says, you know what? Let's go to the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and jump in so I can give you some lessons. That's how dumb that was, right? So yeah, this person drowned because he doesn't know how to scuba dive, probably sank all the way to the bottom, was too heavy. I don't know what the details were. He struggled, probably ran out of air and drowned. Very unfortunate accident. But the fact that this is called hospital hole because a bunch of divers don't make it out, what are you talking about? This is like an April Fool's joke? Like, it makes no sense. That is not true. It's actually called hospital hole because the legend says that when fish were injured, they could go into this hole and recover and then like come out and resume their life or something like that. That's what the story is as far as I remember when I did the research for the first video I reviewed. So has nothing to do with divers drowning here. Once again, making it sound more dangerous. It's a shame because the most popular scuba related channels on YouTube are not from like real good scuba divers. They are from people like Jake from The Almighty, who I really like. I like Jake. I'm a big fan. I would love to have him on the show and interview him because he's here from Georgia, where I'm from. And people like Jordan, for example, they have millions of followers. They do scuba diving and they find phones and stuff like that. But Jake, as far as I can tell, I'm sure he's done it in the past, doesn't really exaggerate to get you to click on a video. Like I noticed that Jake will say like, I was in a Florida spring and found some phones or something like that. And if you watch the video, he was at Genie Spring, and which is it gets way more people than Hospital Hole, I'll tell you that much. And he did find some phones or whatever it was. Like he will call it out and say exactly what happened and where he was, and it's legit. He doesn't need to exaggerate to get you to click. Like people will click because it's very entertaining, and Jake is a very likable guy. So, but Jordan, he would record a video in the same place, Genie Springs, and call it an abandoned lagoon or something like that. I was in an abandoned lagoon and I found some, like, you were not in an abandoned lagoon. And when you watch the video, if you find it, he'll say like, well, I went to Genie Springs, which is not really abandoned and it's always busy, but because today is a Wednesday, there's nobody here, so might as well be an abandoned lagoon. I mean, it's just a straight up lying to get you to click on the video. I was, considering subscribing to some of these channels, but honestly, every time I see somebody trying to lie just to get you to click on it, you just lose me. Like, I'd rather have a way smaller channel and just be straight up and honest than to try to make things up to get you to click on them. Anyway, that's just my thought.
This underwater drone down there. I mean, this place could be littered with iPhones. I have no idea. Maybe
Right.
old fishing hooks, maybe scuba tanks. Who knows what we're going to find down there. But since it's too dangerous for myself
Bodies.
to drop all the way to the bottom,
With all those
we're gonna be
divers
sending this guy down
that
and,
didn't make it
hopefully
out.
he gets the job done. If you had to guess what's at the bottom, what do you think it would be?
The bottom of this
Yeah.
doesn't sound exciting, but rock.
I love this guy. He keeps it real. He's like, at the bottom of this hole, rocks. Yes, that's what do you think is going to be? Why is this guy? I mean, he is totally delusional if he thinks this place is going to be littered with phones and other things, or he's just saying it to get you to keep watching, right? There's three main elements to every video, right? And one of those elements is there has to be stakes. Something has to be at stake. Every TV show, every video you watch, every podcast that you listen to that is good, you keep tuning in because there has to be a stake. Will that guy get that girl? Will they make it out alive? Will, Apollo 13 make it back to Earth without killing everything has stakes. And action and reflection are the other two elements if you were curious about that. But I think he's either really playing that stakes card to say, like, what am I going to find at the bottom of this thing? And that's why he's throwing in, like, scuba tanks, iPhones, bodies, guns, weapons of mass destruction. Like, I wonder, he's just throwing all of this to either keep us engaged, or if he really believes this, then he's totally delusional.
Just rock? You think like phones or anything like that?
Oh,
Like
sunglasses.
Sunglasses? All right, so. Oh, you lost your sunglasses? 4? No way. Okay, so we guaranteed have 4 pairs of sunglasses.
So this lady has lost 4 pairs of sunglasses at Hospital Hole. I mean, by the time you lose your second pair, you should be just buying the $5 sunglasses at the gas station, because you're pretty much condemned to losing your sunglasses every time you come here. So either stop coming, don't bring sunglasses, or buy the cheapest ones that you can find. Because 4 pairs of sunglasses, that's funny.
With just one guy. So imagine how many people have lost stuff here.
Oh my
I'm
God.
thinking
Yes.
that there's literally tons of phones just riddled down there. So we'll see. They could get covered up by sand and stuff like
Stop
that.
it.
So, it's possible that we'll never actually know.
We'll
Maybe
never
send
know.
like a magnet down there or something.
Sure.
But yeah, so we've got the drone and we've got some sunglasses and a bunch of votes for phones. So we'll see.
Okay, so there's one kind of fact that he shared in all that nonsense that he mentioned, which is it's hard to know what's down there because it could be covered in sand. It is true, especially in a sinkhole like this. A lot of sand and debris, leaves, stuff like that will fall down on it, and it will go all the way to the bottom, unless it's a spring. A spring is always kind of spitting out water, so it keeps stuff out. Obviously not stuff like a phone. A phone will be heavy enough that it will fall even through the flow and make it all the way to the bottom. But debris and silt and sand and rocks and stuff like that, they probably are not going to fall easily into a sinkhole that happens to be a spring, that the spring is coming out of. So but what he says is that it's going to be covered by sand. That is true. I've been into several of these sinkholes, and if you touch the sand, like at the bottom, it looks solid. You think it's actual sand, and you can like stick your hand through it. Like the deepest I've been is like to my elbow. Like I don't remember if it was Hudson Grotto or where was I? Maybe in Mexico. I don't remember where I was, but I remember I was coming down. I look at the floor. It looks legit, and I put my hand, and it keeps going to my elbow. That is how much silt it was. Like all of that was under the silt. And then I had to backtrack, and my hand was brown, and I'm just like wiping my hand on the water. So it is true. If you drop a phone on a silty bottom like that, it would just keep falling through it. And you actually learn that during cave training as well. For example, if you drop your light, or if your light fails, your primary light, and let's say your secondary light is attached behind you on a D-ring, in order to pass that skill, in order to get credit for it, and the instructor to be like, okay, you got that, is you have to turn your light on before you unclip it. Okay. And the reason for that is that if you unclip it and then fumble with it when you're turning it on and it falls on the silt, it could disappear. Like depending on how thick the silt is, it could just go through it and you lost it. Now, we all carry 3 lights as a minimum. I carry 4 to cave dive. I've mentioned this before in this channel. But the point is, you turn a light on, because if you turn it on and then you release it and you drop it, you can see the light. And even if it's on a silty condition, depending on how deep it is, again, if it's up to my elbow, I'm not going to see it. It's gone. But if it's, like an inch or 2, there's a chance, based on how bright your light is, that you'll be able to see some light seeping through the silt and be able to retrieve it, be able to get it back. So, yeah, it is true that if you drop something and it goes through the silt, you might not ever find it, because if the silt is pretty thick, it's gone.
Probably the most electronics we've ever used combined into one video. So this is the full comm unit. So I have a couple of these. The underwater divers could actually talk to each other if they wanted to. It's just going to be me, so I'll be only talking to you guys.
Okay, so what he's showing right now is called an FFM, or a full face mask. These are typically used by public safety divers. So people looking for bodies, for example, when people drown at lakes, unfortunately, for example, or people doing, search and recovery tasks and things like that. And the reason why full face masks are used is because of comms, for the most part. The fact that you can talk to each other or talk to the surface support, is why people like to use full face masks, specifically for public safety diving. The idea is, for example, if you have, let's say, 20 divers looking for the body of somebody who drowned at a lake, you don't want, like, if somebody finds it within 10 minutes because they kind of know the area where the victim drowned and they find it, you don't want the other 19 divers to be, still diving for another hour in the cold water looking for that body. So you can, radio the divers underwater and be like, hey, we found the whatever we're looking for, or we accomplished the mission, come back up, right? So that is why you use it. Also, if you're filming, for example, underwater, if you're recording movies, if you're a cameraman, it's important that you can talk to each other and frame angles and stuff like that. Like, once you go in super deep, it's really, really hard to communicate with just hand signals. And we do have a lot of hand signals we use when diving. So we don't have to use comms for all of our dives. But if you have 2 or 3 camera people and a director, communication is important. However, full face masks require extensive training and requires you to be prepared on how to use them. You have to be certified and you have to learn how to deal with problems. For example, what happens if your full face mask stops working, right? You need a regulator, an alternate regulator, because the wire, if you're looking right here at the video, the hose with air plugs into this quick disconnect right here. So you bring the hose from your tank and you plug it into this thing. If for some reason the regulator on the mask stops working, you need to be able to switch to another regulator. However, in order to breathe from another regulator, you have to take the mask off, which means you can't see anything. So what do you have to bring if you're doing an FFM dive? Another mask, a regular mask that is your backup, right? So your mask floods, stops working, whatever happens, you take the mask off, start breathing, retrieve your secondary or backup mask, put it on, and now you can get out of the water safely. Do you think all of those things and all of those safety precautions were taken care of when Jordan decided to go diving, or Brennan, I guess his name is, decided to go diving with a full face mask? Do you think he's even certified to use a full face mask? Based on this video, I'm going to say he's not even certified. But the problem with scuba equipment is that if you have money, you can buy whatever you want. You can buy a rebreather. I mean, there is like, I see them online popping up all the time. People buy the rebreather, then dive it for a few years, and then they need money or whatever, they sell them. You can buy a rebreather. Now, I have seen people selling rebreathers, which, again, if you don't know how to use, you will die, for real. I've seen people selling rebreathers that will say, I'm only going to sell it to people who are certified. And I applaud that. Thank you so much if you're doing that. And if you had a full face mask, I would probably do the same. I'll sell it to whoever is certified to dive on a full face mask. The problem is that a lot of people buy the gear to go get certified. So this is not enforced. You don't have to be certified first to be able to buy that. So I think what this guy did is he probably online or went to a shop and said, can I get a face mask with comms? And they are like, oh, of course, it's X amount of money. He paid it, and now he's diving with it. But you will be able to see that the safety precautions are kind of all over the place.
This is going to be dropped down in the water. This is the transducer that these two talk to.
Transmitter.
This transducer runs all the way to this box. So whatever I'm saying underwater, the guys on the boat above water will be able to hear, and they'll be able to grab this microphone and be able to talk to me as well. So
that's right.
It's really cool. It's a two-way comms from surface to below. And if I see anything really cool, or I want Hudson to send a drone in a certain tunnel, I can tell him to do that. So this is where teamwork makes the dream work. First things first, we're going to run a basic comms test. So we don't have the drone in the water yet, but I'm going to do a big lap around the cave. I'll be able to talk to you guys, show you a little bit of what it's going to look like from, like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 foot.
All right, so you can see the mask is plugged in. That's the hose going into the mask. This is an octopus holder. An octopus is just the alternate regulator they use when it comes to emergencies. I don't see it holding anything. However, there's another hose kind of going down. I assume that is another regulator. So I'm not going to shut him down because I don't see it connected to the holder. Maybe it's just floating around because he's not streamlined, because why bother streamlining?
And once we get the comms figured out and worked in, we'll throw the drone down there. We're going to drop it all the way down to the bottom.
Audio test. 1, 2.
So I left this. It's kind of boring that he's doing the audio check. But one thing I want you to notice is, you know, one of the ways that you see, and we have an episode of the podcast talking about this. Some of you watched the video also. And how do you know if you're a good diver? One of the things that you will notice as you improve as a diver is that you don't use your hands a whole lot. You just stop using your hands. Your hands are there to hold a light, hold cameras, whatever, or just dive like this. Your hands don't work very well for propulsion, and what they can do is actually stir up things, so you don't want to use your hands. Now, during the open water class, when you're a brand new diver, if I see people using their hands, especially if you're swimmers, like I was a swimmer before I was a diver, it's hard to kind of lose the whole using your hands to move around the water. It's kind of second nature for some people. But over time, if you are a diver, and this guy has been recording videos, it seems like for years, so he should be a diver for years at this point, you shouldn't really see any hand movement whatsoever. Well, you be the judge.
Audio check, 1, 2.
I hear you loud and clear. I'm really glad we have the drone. It's super murky.
It is so murky, guys. Look at this. There's, you know, particles in the water. I can't even see. Wait, the hand is perfect. You can see his hand perfectly. So how murky is it?
You're underneath the front of the boat.
I love that one. It's like, I'm glad we have the drone. It's so murky. Can't see anything. And the drone operator's like, I literally can see you. You're like right there. I can see you down there. The dog can see you too. It's like, you're right there. I can see you.
Hudson, I wish you could see what I'm seeing right now.
Oh my God.
I'll be able to see in just a few when we get that drone down there.
I love it. I wish you could see what I see right now. The guys, I actually can. It's like right. I see you right there, and you're looking at those rocks. I don't have to send the drone, Brandon. I can see it. Visibility is pretty good right now.
Woo! Wow.
So you can see this guy. He was, and I think, you know, we're gonna see a little bit more. But you can see he doesn't have any pockets anywhere. You can't see anything, and you know, when he's out of the water, you can see a little bit better. There's no way to say that he had any safety equipment like a spare mask or anything like that, because he has no pockets and nothing is hanging from his BCD, which, by the way, is on snap on the chest. I don't know why, but he's diving with it on snap. Maybe it's not the right size. Maybe it doesn't close. Maybe the chest strap is not big enough, you know, for that that vest that he has, that hide vest that he has below. Just take it off. I mean, you have a BCD, you don't need that thing, but whatever. I think those vests are mandatory if you're like diving in rivers and stuff. Maybe it's now part of like the uniform he uses on the videos. So because of that, he doesn't take it off. And maybe because of that, the BCD, that buoyancy compensator, the thing that holds the tank and makes him float and all of that, doesn't even snap at the front, which is, I mean, it should be snapped for sure.
What a freaking incredible experience. Hey, buddy. That was cool, right?
Yeah, that was cool.
Dude,
I saw you the whole time.
Everything was so beautiful.
You can see everything? I thought it was
murky.
murky.
Was a bit murky, so I'm glad we have the drone, because if I was going down, that'd be super creepy.
Oh my God, so creepy. Look at this.
Dude, it is super clear. I'm watching you right now in 1080p, baby.
Alright, go ahead and
The other thing that you will notice from divers, along the way, again, you don't use your hands. But number 2 is your trim or your position in the water. You never see fish on the water vertically, like just swimming along like that. Never. They're always in perfect trim. They're always like that. Unless you're like a mola mola who are pretty stupid and they swim in all kinds of positions. But most fish are perfectly trimmed. They're horizontal in the water and they're swimming around. That's how you want to be as a diver. You want to be on trim. You want to be horizontal. So when you see a diver vertically moving around, that's a big sign that they're very new and very inexperienced and they don't really know how to dive very well. But again, that is stuff that you learn over time. And that's what I'm saying. And what I said earlier is if you're a brand new diver and you're showing it with your skills, or you're so new, you don't look like a diver that has a ton of experience and know what they're doing. Why would you be jumping on a dangerous 130-foot cave in the middle of nowhere? It's incompatible. Doesn't make sense.
I'm going to take you on a walk around the cave.
Yeah, around the cave, guys. Jordan, I can see you right there. I can totally.
This is insane.
Wow.
Oh my God, this is crazy.
You see a lot of hand movement.
God, that's so cool.
That's a danger of entanglement, and you can see he's vertical. All right, so look at this. So that's the regulator. It's a seagull. I can see it from here. Regulator, and it's just hanging. It's not supported by anything. Also, his SPG, or submersible pressure gauge, which is what tells him how deep he is and how much air he has left. Although he has a computer and it does look like it's air integrated, but he shouldn't have an SPG to begin with. But even if he does, it should be streamlined with his body. It should be against his body, really not, hanging like that, because he's gonna either, like if he was in a coral, he would drag it and damage the coral, or he could get entangled on something. It's an entanglement hazard, especially with that drone, with that massive cable. That could have happened. Luckily, it didn't happen, but you can see he's vertical, using his hands all over the place, even holding his mask with his hand. I mean, it's not a good look. It's just not a good look.
Come back to daddy.
Bro, this is so incredible. Dude, with how crystal clear this is right now, I cannot wait to send this to the bottom.
What is that? Yeah. So you can see even his kicking is more like a bicycle type of kick. His flutter kicks are not very good, and his hand signals are bad. Like he's doing like this thumbs up, like to be like, that was awesome. Thumbs up means let's go up. So I even without thinking about it, when I want to do thumbs up, I always do this. Even when I'm not diving, I'm like, okay. I don't do thumbs up. You can do that. That's cool. Yeah, he keeps doing that. He keeps doing that. Like, I'm pretty sure the operator's like, come up. Like, what are you saying? Bring it up.
Dude, it's like I had a drone as a best friend.
This is so sick, dude.
Bro, this is our best idea we've ever freaking had.
No, that's the
So
worst
what are we doing
idea
right now?
we've
Going
ever had.
down.
Oh, we're
Okay,
we
so
going
they're
down?
finally sending the
What
drone.
is that? Oh, we're going like nose down. So much sediment.
Oh my God, so much sediment. Yeah, they're in a.
85.
You're out in the open.
Get to the
Okay,
bottom of the
so
drone.
if you notice, depending on where he's looking, he doesn't see all that silt in the water. And the reason for that, and the reason why I left that in here, is because depending on your lights, like he has all his lights on. When you have your lights on in water that has, you know, particles like this, which is most water, depending on how you angle your light, you may or may not be able to see very well with your lights. So the drone has like headlights. They go straight forward. So if he is looking straight forward and the lights are hitting the particles, it just bouncing back and he can't see anything. That's why a lot of the video is like that. And I talked about that in another video where I reacted to my own cave dive. I filmed a cave dive. I know that a lot of you asked, like, how come there are no videos of you diving? There is one. It's called, I think, Cave Diver Reacts to His Own Cave Dive, something like that. I filmed the whole video and I was talking about how I shine my light as an angle so I can see where I'm going, because if I shine it straight forward where I'm going, I'm not going to be able to see a whole lot because of the way the light bounces out of all that stuff.
See if I can see the
So he looks back.
Oh my god.
Wow, there's the boat.
That's the boat.
Oh my
That's
god.
cool, man.
That is cool.
This is so
But see,
sick.
as soon as the lights go back in place, you can't really even see the wall
Dropping her down.
because it's bouncing. So at an angle
20
is better.
meters.
Hold on. You're
It's like, hold on. What's going on? So right now they're caught up in the hydrogen sulfide layer that I described on the last video.
Wait, what?
This thing is poison. They shouldn't be here. They're totally messing up this drone. You want to go through it quickly and get to fresh water or salt water, depending on how you're going. But you definitely don't want to stick around there, and they do stick around there for some reason.
Straight down.
So what is that?
Wait, are we in? Oh, okay.
So he
one
finally
thing I know about
realizes
Hospital
it.
Hole, it has a layer of this, gosh, I cannot remember the name, but it smells like rotten eggs.
Yep, hydrogen sulfide.
Yes, a layer of like sulfuric acid.
Close
Does that
enough.
sound wrong, or is that possible?
Oh, whoa.
I'll give
did
you
you
I'll give you
crash through
credit
it?
for that.
Right there.
Yeah.
We are level with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if we come
So,
up,
okay, as a scuba diver, if you get stuck in Hospital Hole and you can get lost in that layer and get completely disoriented, just like Hudson is on the drone right now, like not really sure where he is. What depth are we rocking right there?
27 and a
Yeah, so
half.
they're about
So
the
that's
halfway
20,
point.
30,
And they talk about like how this is happening in Hospital Hole, and how if you get lost in Hospital Hole, this might happen to you or whatever. Like that happens in a lot of sinkholes. Basically, and I've talked about this before in great detail in the previous video. If you want to watch that, go ahead, because I went into detail on this. But basically, this hydrogen sulfide layer gets stuck between salt water and fresh water. And this basically, the stuff inside this layer is not buoyant enough to float above the water that is above it, but is not, negatively buoyant enough to sink to the bottom. So it's kind of trapped in the middle, and it's just a bunch of it's poison basically. It was actually used as poison at war, so it is really bad stuff. But I've seen this in many sinkholes. This is not exclusive to Hospital Hole. This happens a lot, and if you get stuck in it or lost in it, I mean, it's only a few feet, maybe 10 feet, which is 3 meters. I mean, it's a decent layer, but it's not crazy. If you're going up, you get on the layer, just keep going up. I don't know how you're going to get lost and all of a sudden be like, oh, I'm going up. Wait, I'm in this layer now. What do I do? Let me start going that way or that other way. No, you just keep going up and go through it. So, yeah, if you get lost in it, like he said, trust your instruments, look at your computer or your SPG, see what direction you're going. If you're going up, just keep going up. It's a sinkhole. It's a straight up like a chimney. So if you hit the layer, just keep going up. As long as you're going up, you're not gonna get lost.
So it's 30. So probably somewhere around 90 feet right there. Somewhere around 90.
It's
feet
like
is
70
where
to
it's at.
80 or something like that is where that
What?
layer is
What's
at,
going on?
depending on the tide.
Okay, so we're at 29 meters.
All right, so they finally reach the
Look
bottom.
Down, leave.
We reached the bottom of Hospital Hole.
Oh my God.
Is that
Dude,
it?
give me
Is
some.
that it?
We
That
made
is
it. Oh my God,
unbelievable.
that's
Wow,
okay,
first
now
time
this
in
could be a
history
stealth, though.
that
So,
anyone...
if you can, do not stir up the
No.
bottom. Like, try your absolute
This
best.
is 130
Try to
feet.
go side to
Anyone
side,
with an
or
advanced,
whatever you can. Nothing is
advanced
gonna
open
go
water
down. There's no-
certification that
So if
includes
blow
deep
that out,
diving
it's just gonna
can
sit
go to the bottom
like
of
that.
this
Brandon,
place,
stop
as long as
walking
it's not
away.
beyond 130 feet. So I don't want anyone to go beyond their
Get
limits.
out of there.
You can
That's
go
a big
there,
old tree.
and as long as you stay
Yeah,
within the
don't get
no
rougher than
decompression
that.
limit, which is 5 minutes or 130 feet, you can go down there, spend 5
Dude,
minutes,
how
and come up.
absurd is this?
no problem. Nothing scary. Bring a light. And that's all you're going to see. That's what I expected. The bottom is full of mud and leaves and a bunch of crap down there.
Dude, the fact that we're like, all right, we are now at 77% because we got to bring it back home, dude. We got to bring
You
it
have a wire, dude. If you die, you should just pull it up. You're not inside a cave.
I wonder if you went lights out if you didn't do it.
Whatever.
Nope.
Yeah, so he turned the lights off. There's no
Nope.
light.
Zero
Yes,
light.
under the hydrogen sulfide layer, there's not a whole lot of light. So they go and they find this metal pole, and they're like, "Oh my God, what is that? Oh no, it's a metal pole. It's an alien statue. No, it's just a metal pole." People throw crap in these sinkholes all the time. Actually, Hudson Grotto, which is another sinkhole, not very far from this place, maybe an hour or two away from this place, has a hydrogen sulfide layer. It's only 110 feet in depth, so it's not as deep as Hospital Hole. And there are two boats there. There's a Volkswagen van down there. There's typewriters. There's phones, platforms for training, lines. There's all kinds of crap at the bottom of Hudson Grotto. And it's actually pretty good practice if you believe you want to be a tech diver or a cave diver to go to the bottom of Hudson Grotto, swim around the perimeter basically, no light. It feels like you're in this kind of cavern. And if you are cool with that and you don't feel creeped out at all, then you might be good for cave diving.
Dude, I cannot freaking express to you how insane that is, bro. I've dove here so many times. I've explored around this thing, and I've never made it to the bottom of Hospital Hole.
I explore
and now
around
I know
this
that
thing.
I never want to visit the bottom of Hospital
Please
Hole.
don't, especially
That
with
was
that
incredible,
mask
man.
and with that level of
All right, guys, so
training
that's gonna wrap it
and
up.
with
Hope
that
you guys
trim.
enjoyed this.
If he goes to the bottom of this place vertically like that and starts kicking and stuff, the visibility will be zero pretty much immediately, and the lights don't work. Like if you go under that layer, it's dark, like light might not penetrate through it, but you have a light. So as long as there's no silt, you can still see stuff. You would make it just like kind of how you saw you would see the leaves. You can explore around. Maybe stuff that is not super heavy. It's still, you know, kind of around the top. Like maybe those sunglasses, you would have been able to find them. But you have to be in good trim, and you have to be frog kicking so you don't silt out the bottom. But with his trim and his level of training, he would have gotten to the bottom, you know, kind of vertically kick and flutter kick and stir up everything, and his slide would have been useless, and he would have panicked immediately. Immediate panic. Let's get out of here. And that's when people make mistakes and they get bent, or you know, they have problems.
Video. I'm so glad we finally solved the mystery of what is at the bottom of Hospital Hole.
Okay, there's no mystery. I'm going to stop the video right now because that's enough. There's no mystery. I cannot imagine the bottom of Hospital Hole has been seen by less than thousands of people. It's a recreational dive. It's perfect for deep divers because they can go to the bottom, and that's 130 or something like that. That's kind of like the Spiegel Grove wreck in Key Largo is perfect for that because the sand at the Spiegel Grove, like if you go all the way to the bottom, it's around 131, 132 site right there at the 40-meter mark, which is the deepest you can go if you have deep diving training. So I love that place to go with students, especially that just got their deep diving certification, or perhaps they need one more dive. You do 3 dives to get that certification. One has to be between 100 and 130. So I love to take them all the way down to the sand or close to the sand so they can experience what your body does when you're diving deep, you know, a deep air. The air feels different. It feels like syrup. Like the fact that you're super deep is not the cool part. The fact that you're deep, the air that you're breathing and how quick you're going through your air, that's really the exciting part for me. And see if you feel the effects of narcosis, which starts hitting everyone after 100 feet. So this place looks like a cool place to do dives like that. If you're already certified, I don't think I would take a student here, but if you're certified, you've been in some deep dives before in the ocean and stuff, I would totally go here. There's no mystery. I would go there. I would take a picture right next to the pole. Like there's no mystery. This is not a big deal, and this is why I don't subscribe to channels like this, because they make it sound like they go into these super dangerous places, whereas in fact they're super safe, and you know, people with right training can dive these places and have a pretty good time. No big deal. So that's all I got for you. Again, this was a special request for me to react to it. I made a comment on the channel about, some of these inconsistencies and concerns that I had about safety. For example, diving with a full face mask and no way to bail out from it. And this guy, removed my comment, and somebody responded and said, "Hey, I saw your comment and now it's gone. You need to react to this video." So here we are. We reacted to it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope that if you watch this all the way and you haven't subscribed to the channel, just please go ahead and hit subscribe. I mean, you're watching all these videos anyway, so might as well get notified every time we dropped a new one. And yeah, if you know a way to reach out to this guy and let him know that we reviewed the video and reacted to it. I'm not sure if he's gonna watch it and get some pointers and kind of my thoughts on that, but all I want to do is for people that have the reach that some of these channels have, for them to promote safe diving and basically talk about what they do. I mean, they're pretty entertaining videos. You don't have to exaggerate and say you're in a deep cave or an abandoned lagoon. Like, why look for phones in a deep abandoned cave somewhere? Like, who's dropping phones inside of deep abandoned caves? It just doesn't make sense. So just call it what they are. People will still enjoy them. I would subscribe to your channel because I also enjoy kind of this kind of entertainment. But yeah, just promote safe diving, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. See ya.